I would like to welcome you all to our 7th Annual Palestine Advocacy Days.
This year we are virtual and have broken a record in all of US history by being the very first to organize a Palestine advocacy event with all 50 states.
When AMP first began this event in 2015, we started out with no less than 15 attendees, and now in 2021, the number of attendees grew by 5,000%. From all 50 states in this nation. We are only growing in numbers, and there is a new era of Palestine activism in Congress.
Americans for Justice in Palestine Action is a new political advocacy organization affiliated with AMP.
AJP Action is a project of American Muslims for Palestine. This is our commitment to continue to build and to put forth an agenda that will transform policy and approaches to Palestine moving ahead.
More than 750 advocates from diverse religious and ethnic backgrounds attended our intensive advocacy training to empower them to be effective grassroots advocates for racial justice at home and for justice in Palestine when they meet with their members of Congress later this week.
As the world's most powerful democracy, we have a responsibility to advocate for oppressed people around the world. But the calls to support our Palestinian brothers and sisters have often been silenced and even ignored. And I think that that's changing. It's clear that it's changing.
I know that we all know the struggle for liberation is not an easy one, and the Palestinian people are fighting every single day against racism, against occupation that is so violent, and of course, the painful apartheid.
Palestinian rights. They just cannot be ignored. There's still members in Congress who ignore them, but there's more members in Congress forever fighting for Palestinian rights.
I want you to know there are fellow Americans that believe that our country must stop enabling the killings and giving away tax dollars without conditions that promote human rights for all, not just some.
The cause for the Palestinian people is very much on the minds of the younger generation of Americans, and is among a growing number of members of Congress.
It's our responsibility as justice seekers and lawmakers. We need the American people and our government to stand with the Palestinian people.
I urge President Biden and my colleagues, quite frankly, on both sides of the aisle, to do the right thing and be change agents for the Palestinian people.
Congress must do more to protect the human rights of the Palestinian people and ensure that taxpayer dollars are not funding oppression and injustice.
You know, I will not accept progressive except for Palestine any longer. If you're progressive, you must be supporting human rights for all, including for the Palestinian people.
AJP Action presents Representative Rashida Tlaib, the Champion of Palestinian Rights Award, for her courageous advocacy for Palestinian liberation and self-determination.
I'm truly honored to be sharing this award with all of you activists on the ground that have been doing this work way before I got elected to the United States Congress.
AJP Action presents to Representative Andre Carson, the Champion of Palestinian Rights Award.
Wow, what an honor. Are you kidding me? I mean, listen, I know other awards are a big deal, but this is a big deal.
At a moment in which recognition is growing, we need to continue to grow it, but then we need to translate that into action. And there are members of Congress beginning to do that. You know, they still are not the majority even within the Democratic Party, but they are speaking to a growing bloc. It's happening in other countries, and we need to keep a civil society encouraging the paradigm shift and the actions that are coming along with it.
If you have polling saying that the majority of young American Jews think that Israel is an apartheid state, that begins to completely undermine that attempted narrative takeover. And I think that will really, really strongly contribute to the momentum.
There seems to be a massive gap between the direction American society is going, and I wouldn't argue that we've reached a critical mass, but definitely heading in the right direction when so far as Palestinian rights and understanding the Palestinian narrative, and US policy.
The rising tide of knowledge and of questioning American policy within the American public and even within some members of Congress. But still, it has not reached the critical mass. Because the question is not just knowledge. The question has to deal with also questioning the leadership and the decisions, and breaking beyond the prevalent rhetoric and discourse about different types of special relationships between Israel and the US.
I would say the dams are in the process of breaking. I think we're seeing that in the polling. We're seeing that in private conversations. I have so many stories from friends whose moms are talking to them about BDS and talking to them about questioning Zionism for the first time.
That there is a change, and the most significant I see is within the Jewish community that is daring to break the mold and to say no. And at the same time within the human rights community that is global. And now questioning also within the evangelical groups is very important. So I think there are cracks, but in the meantime, there is still impunity. Israel still acts without accountability.
The challenge now becomes, how do you translate these cracks, right, into actually, letting the full dam fall and letting the ramifications go forward?
There is no going back. Our backs are no longer against the wall. I want us to believe in this. I want us to believe in this because we are seeing how the trajectory is shifting in America and how the dynamics are changing. I want us to believe this in this because we draw on the Palestinian resilience and steadfastness. The Palestinian people did not give up on their aspirations and on their rights, neither should we give up on them. Let us continue to provide a voice for the voiceless. And I promise you that AJP Action will continue to do just that on your behalf.
Got to thank my friends at AJP and its amazing, hardworking, brilliant, phenomenal staff for your important work and the sacrifices you make.
I thank you to Americans for Justice in Palestine for engaging our young people in this movement.
It takes courage and boldness to achieve this. As more and more people of goodwill say enough is enough, I think hearts and minds will change. That's why I'm grateful to AJP Action and American Muslims for Palestine for your leadership in this effort. And I think together we can usher in a new era of equality and opportunities for Palestinians.
I can say from firsthand experience that your advocacy is making a difference and helping to change the conversation.
So it's your activism, mashallah, that has continued to work to really, truly get us closer to Palestinian liberation. And I can't thank you enough. Assalamu alaikum.